My father died in a car accident a year after their wedding. He was young, ambitious, and deeply in love with my mother. They had dreams of raising me in a happy home, starting a family business, and living a simple but peaceful life. But fate tore it all away too soon. When I think of my mother, I don't think of her as just a woman. I think of her as a warrior who carried the weight of pain that no human should ever bear. My mother was only 23 when she became a widow. 23. While most women her age were learning how to live, she was learning how to survive heartbreak. And instead of comforting her, my father's family, my so-called in-laws, turned her life into a living hell. From the day she buried my father, they made sure she never smiled again. At the funeral, I was just a baby in her arms. I didn't understand the whispers then, but I remember her face, blank, pale, broken. She held me close while people muttered cruel things. She must have brought bad luck. Only a cursed woman becomes a widow that young. She's the reason our son died so soon. Those words, poisonous, evil words, followed her for years. After the burial, my mother wanted to return to her parents' home, but my grandmother refused. "You will not take our son's child away," she said. "He carries our blood, not yours. You'll stay here and raise him the way we want." And so she stayed, not because she wanted to, but because she couldn't risk losing me. Every day in that house was a silent battle. She wasn't treated like family. She was treated like a servant, a ghost who cooked, cleaned, and served but was never seen or heard. If she sat at the table, they made her get up. If she laughed, they said widows shouldn't smile. If she went to church, they whispered that even God wouldn't listen to someone like her. And through it all, she never fought back. She'd hold her tears until night, then cry quietly when everyone slept. I used to wake up sometimes and find her sitting by the window, her face wet with tears, whispering my father's name like she was afraid he might forget her. "Why did you leave me to face this alone?" she'd whisper into the darkness. There were days they didn't give her food. They said, "You're lucky we let you live under this roof." When I turned 6, I began to notice. I saw how they treated her. I saw the bruises from where my aunt threw a pot at her. I saw the way my grandmother rolled her eyes whenever my mother tried to speak. The worst part? They blamed her for everything. When the crops failed, they said, "It's her bad luck." When my uncle lost money, they said, "It's her curse." My mother carried all that hate, but never let it poison her heart. She used to tell me, "Don't hate them, son. People only hurt others when they haven't healed their own pain. We will be okay one day." Years went by, and when I became a teenager, I started helping her. I did small jobs, cleaning cars, carrying goods at the market, anything to save a little money. I wanted to free her. By the time I turned 25, I had worked my way up in a small construction company. Slowly I built something for us, a life. My first project was to build her a home. Not just any house, a place filled with peace, warmth, and dignity. I'll never forget the day I took her there. It was a quiet morning when I held her hand and led her through the gate. Her eyes widened as she saw it, her name written on the plaque outside. This is for me?" she asked in disbelief. Tears filled her eyes. All these years, I prayed for a roof that didn't leak, and a bed that didn't have to be shared with shame. I hugged her tightly. "You'll never be humiliated again, Mama." But as fate would have it, karma wasn't done yet. A few years later, tragedy began to visit the same people who tormented her. My aunt's husband abandoned her after 30 years of marriage, leaving her penniless. My uncle, the one who used to call my mother cursed, lost everything after a failed business deal. My grandmother, the matriarch of cruelty, fell ill and was bedridden for months. Ironically, none of her children wanted to take care of her. They were too busy fighting over money and property. And so, one afternoon there was a knock at our door. I opened it, And there they were. My uncle, my aunt, and my grandmother in a wheelchair. They looked defeated, hungry, broken. My mother came out of her room slowly, holding her walking stick. The moment she saw them, her face froze, but only for a moment. Then she smiled faintly and said, "Come in." They couldn't meet her eyes. They sat quietly as she served them food, the same food they once refused to eat from her hands. When they finished, my uncle started crying. We have nowhere else to go," he said. "Please forgive us." My mother looked at him and said softly, "I forgave you a long time ago. The day I realized that karma doesn't need my help." Even my grandmother wept that day. "You are a better woman than I ever was," she said. My mother just smiled sadly. "No, I'm just a woman who learned that pain doesn't last forever." That night I asked her, "Why did you let them in after everything they did?" She looked at me and said, "Because life already punished them in ways I never could. They taught me cruelty, but I chose to teach them mercy. That's how I win." Moral lessons. Never mock someone's pain. It's the most expensive debt you'll ever owe. Widows, the poor, and the broken are not cursed. They are tested. Karma doesn't rush. It observes, waits, and returns in full measure. The truest revenge is peace, the kind that comes when you no longer wish for revenge. Humility and forgiveness are the strongest weapons the wounded can carry. If this story touched you, please don't forget to support us with a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.